The design industry is changing. DIY design solutions such as Wix and Squarespace are offering businesses cost-effective alternatives to hiring designers. And it's easier than ever for a layperson to utilize design software to create their own designs. This new pressure paints a challenging picture for the future of design. According to the Bureau for Labor Statistics, the graphic design job market is predicted to only grow by 4% in the next 10 years. To stay relevant, established designers must continue to rethink their craft, incorporating new technology and delivery methods into their work. But what does the future look like for design educators? Do the current methods of design education set students up for success? What should design education look like in the future? The ability of future graphic designers to be valuable within a competitive and challenging marketplace will require a change of thinking in design education. To this end, design educators must work to teach more than form and empower their students to understand the effects of what they create in a complex way. Historically, the role of a graphic designer was to respond to a communication problem through the creation of singular forms. For hundreds of years, the progression of technology worked to expand a designer's toolkit and give them more efficient production methods and a wide variety of aesthetic options, but the focus remained on creating singular forms. This preoccupation with form is giving way to the need for designers to understand and create within the context of more complex systems. Increasingly, design shares with biology a focus on information flow, on networks of actors operating at many levels and exchanging the information needed to balance communities of systems. These systems can be familiar to the world of design and include multiple deliverable advertising campaigns and identity systems. However, design solutions that only focus on design-related systems are limited. Future designers must be taught that valuable design solutions are only effective when they are created in light of larger systems. For example, if sales and marketing materials for Company X claim that Company X values customer service, and the identity system calls for images of happy customers and happy service employees, this stated value breaks down the minute a customer has a bad experience with a customer service representative. This example shows design in relation to the complex system of branding. The communication via form is only useful if all levels of brand are functioning. An education that focuses on the creation of forms is no longer relevant in a world that revolves around complex systems. College design curricula and the pedagogies through which we deliver them focus almost exclusively on form-based design, on know-how, and do not acknowledge issues that drive emerging practices. Design education must shift its focus from form-based design and embrace an emerging understanding of our complex world. In addition to understanding communication in relation to design-centered systems, design students must see what they create in light of non-design systems. That is to say, they must be taught to consider the real-world impact of their design choices. For example, packaging design requires a designer to think beyond design aesthetic. How will the packaging fit into a shipping box? How will the packaging be disposed of once the product is taken out? Will it be recyclable, or will it spend centuries sitting in a landfill? In addition to practical considerations, students must also learn to ask how their choices impact society and culture. A student that recognizes their ability to reflect and create cultural value will be motivated by more than a paycheck. They will be empowered to impact how their clients' brands mesh with the cultural values. They will also be able to use design as a mechanism to reinforce their own cultural values. While this may sound ambitious, the application for design students can be simple. Students should be taught that even simple choices, such as mindfully selecting images, is an excellent starting point. For example, using images of women or minorities instead of white males is a small but meaningful decision that can work against the stereotypes inherent in the corporate world. Exposing students to this type of thinking will give them a foundation from which they can build more meaningful and thoughtful solutions that purposefully and positively impact culture. Effective communication is difficult and requires designers to ask a complex set of questions. Who is the audience? What do I want them to know? How do I want them to respond? How will they receive the message? What style will I use to create the message? Should I use symbolism or be direct? These questions are only a small piece of the communication puzzle. Creating visual communication that functions within complex systems requires a variety of additional disciplines and expertise that cannot be provided by a single designer. Designers must work with copywriters, photographers, ad buyers, marketing managers, and many other individual resources if they hope to create effective communications. Additionally, proper analysis of the communication system is an essential component of effective communication. Because the scope of communication is so broad, even the best designers cannot hope to be masters of every necessary aspect. For this reason, students will also need to develop the ability to work as part of a multidisciplinary team to effectively implement design solutions that function within complex systems. Just as professional designers work within the context of teams or networks of contractors, students must be able to work within the context of a multidisciplinary team. Traditional undergraduate design education includes the completion of projects that students create individually or with a team of other designers. While it is common for students to double major or specialize in a specific field within design, it is increasingly necessary to present students with the idea that they likely cannot conceive, produce, implement, analyze, and respond to communication solutions by themselves, or even within a team composed of only other designers. The ability to instill this thinking should go beyond mere lip service. For educators to successfully teach design students how to work within a multidisciplinary team, they must change the way they think about their departments. Currently, educational departments function in silos. Individual disciplines are taught within a vacuum. What if educators designed projects that involved collaboration between departments? What if design students worked with writing students to pair copy with visual concepts? What if design students partnered with marketing students to define goals that drove the visual direction of a project? What if these teams worked with IT students to design a method for analyzing the effectiveness of proposed solutions? What if the final grade was not determined by an aesthetic critique, but on a measured analysis of the effectiveness of the solution? This new method of teaching would reinforce the contemporary models and roles required to create effective communication, would assist each student in seeing the importance of the other discipline in their practice, and would give students experience working outside of their own discipline in a more real-world model of production. These ideas are outside of the traditional method of design education, but that does not mean they have to completely upend the current methodology. Students still must learn the fundamentals such as history, aesthetic, best practices, symbolism, and creative thinking. Systems thinking and a team-based approach to design can be gradually introduced alongside these fundamental principles, and more emphasis can be placed on these advanced topics as the students progress through their programs. Just as the role of design has changed throughout history, the roles of current designers are changing in response to the pressure of technology. Because of this transition, design educators cannot simply keep proceeding with the antiquated teaching methods that focus on singular forms. These educators are responsible to teach future designers to recognize and respond to the modern world in a meaningful and productive way. Teaching students to see their work as pieces of multiple, complex systems will allow them to respond to the ebb and flow of forces that impact design, be successful in their professional lives, and create holistically effective solutions for their clients.